Fellow Falcoholics, what is up? Welcome to episode 111 of the Falcoholic Live. We are here to recap the first week of Falcons training camp, and I'm joined, Kevin Knight, obviously, at Falcoholic Kevin, joined tonight by some great guests. We've got Eric Robinson at _Eric_Robinson on Twitter. Eric, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, guys. We're 1 week closer to the season. I'm ready to get things started.
Oh, yeah, we're almost there. We just got to hold out a little bit longer. It's been a long time, but yeah, we're hoping to get there, hopefully healthy, and so far so good on that front.
Right.
But also with us tonight, Evan Birchfield at the very easy to remember at Evan Birchfield on Twitter. Evan, how are you doing?
Doing well. Just excited to be with you guys and talk some Falcons.
Absolutely, and joining us once again tonight, former Falcons guard Keenan Forney at KForney65 on Twitter. Keenan, how are you doing this evening?
Doing good, man. It's almost Christmas.
Yep, Christmas in September, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, we are tantalizingly close now to the start of the season. I believe we'd already be in preseason games at this point if there was a preseason.
Yep. This would be week 3?
2, I think, or 3?
Maybe 2.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But, either way, we'd have something more to talk about. But we do have, finally, some training camp news and tidbits to talk about. We have a signing. We have a report out today that you might have found interesting about Vic Beasley we'll get to. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. And also, of course, answer your questions about the Falcons and training camp. And keep in mind, none of us have been allowed to be there this year, so this is all based on reporting and what we've been able to glean from the team. But we all pay a lot of attention, so we know more than the average, casual viewer. So we will do our best to get you guys that information tonight. So to start out, let's talk actual roster-related stuff with the re-signing of Jj Wilcox. For those that don't remember, Wilcox was actually with the team last year in training camp, was actually drawing a lot of praise from the coaching staff, and pretty early on suffered a season-ending injury and missed the whole season. But it looked like Wilcox was potentially going to be the top backup behind Keanu Neal, and that kind of threw that whole depth chart into disarray, particularly when we saw Neal go down a little bit later. So let's kick things off with Eric this evening. Eric, do you have any thoughts on the re-signing of Jj Wilcox?
It was definitely one that I don't think anyone expected. And I kind of question it a little bit because I don't really see the need or the purpose of it. They're getting Keanu back, and so far so good when it comes to training camp and Keanu Neal and how he looks out there. So, they also brought back Neesman this offseason as well. They drafted Jalen Hawkins, and then, of course, they got KZ and Allen fighting it out for the starting free safety spot. So it was a pretty crowded safety room already. And then, you throw Wilcox into the mix. So I'm not quite sure how this is going to play out entirely, because you're talking, what was that, 6 safeties?
Right, yeah, basically 6 guys that have realistic chances of making the roster.
Right, and that's not even counting guys that are undrafted free agents or anything like that. It's just simply trying to make the team or make the practice squad. So I'm not really getting the reason behind it, but he's re-signed, he's back with the team, and it's another veteran in the locker room. But we'll see how this shakes out. But I don't think we're really going to see much of. Best case scenario is we don't see much of Wilcox this year.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. Like, I think earlier on in the offseason, like March, I was kind of expecting them to bring him back because it seemed like the coaching staff was really high on him. But it was, since they didn't bring him back, we were like, oh, maybe they moved on, or maybe, he's still rehabbing, that sort of thing. The fact that they have brought him back now means that he's probably fully healthy again, which is great news for him, obviously. But yeah, with Jalen Hawkins, like the immediate path to a roster spot isn't as clear. He's going to be competing with Hawkins for that reserve strong safety backup role. If anything, this probably is more of a battle between like Wilcox and Sherrod Neesman for that 5th safety spot, because they do like to keep that 5th safety. So it might come down to those two, because we know Jalen Hawkins isn't going anywhere. This team doesn't really move on from 4th rounders. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that shakes out, and if he's really challenging for that backup role, or if he's more like the fifth safety kind of rotational special teams guy. Evan, you got any thoughts on that signing?
Not a whole, more to add there. It sucks because he, like you mentioned, he got kind of a rough start last year. I believe it was the first day of training camp or first day for him where he, I think he tore his ACL. And, I mean, that's never how you want to get your start on a team. But maybe they saw something in whatever limited action he had last year, enough to bring him back because, as Eric said, it's freaking loaded at safety. I mean, when you look on just like if you look at their official roster, I'm seeing, I think, 10 who are technically safeties because they have like Jamal Carter listed as a defensive back and stuff. But who came back earlier this week from the COVID list or whatever. I mean, they're just loaded. I don't really see a realistic way for him to make it unless it's like super depth because they're kind of loaded. I mean, he's not making it over Kesey, Allen, Neal. I don't know. I don't really see it. Hawkins, they're not going to get rid of. So
right, exactly. Yeah, so it's interesting. It's interesting signing. Keenan, you have anything you want to add there with that signing?
I'm thinking it's probably one or two things. I mean, they signed a veteran safety just in case, Keanu goes down again. I've been hearing good things that he's coming back, that he's looking good, he's got his confidence, but a couple years on the IR list, you never know, right? You never know. Hopefully he takes that turn and stays healthy and gets back to, the way he was before he got hurt. Or also, too, they you might have had a conversation with him before they signed him. Hey, look here, we're bringing you in just in case, but are you willing to play some special teams? You're an older player, are you willing to go on ahead and do that, and he might have been like, he wants him a job, because last year he got hurt, and so, he wants to at least be in the mix some kind of way, and who knows how things might happen as the season goes. So I'm thinking it's one of those two things. He's good insurance in case somebody goes down, and also, too, he's let them know, hey, look here, I'm willing to jump out there on kickoff, kick return, punt return, wherever you need me, I'm ready to play. So if he wants a job at this point, coming off of a year where he didn't play, that, sometimes you got to take what's offered.
Yeah, and with Wilcox, like this is a player that has multiple seasons of starting, 16 games and things like that. But that was a while ago, and he's been kind of bouncing around a bit lately. So it's probably exactly what you said, that he's trying to really latch on somewhere, prove that he can make an impact on special teams at least, and then hope to get a shot to get on the field some and reinvigorate his career here, because he's not that old. I think he's like 29 or 30, so it's not like
As Keenan said, I also think it could be a possibility, just to kind of branch off from his point, that they had like an agreement. Hey, you're probably not going to make this roster, but we'd rather have you in camp now, and God forbid somebody gets COVID, one of the safeties gets COVID, then he's already knowing, like, within the the defensive playbook and stuff, even though he's not technically on the roster, down the road, week 2, week 3, you got to sign a safety because you need veteran depth or whatever. Wilcox, so that could be
a familiar face.
Yeah. And with the practice squad changes this year, I believe 6 of the spots, there's no rules about who can be made, who can have those spots. So Wilcox, even as a vested veteran, could still be put on the practice squad. Same with someone like Sherrod Neesman, who normally would, not be qualified anymore for that. But so that could be part of it too. So
there's no limit on the, like, you could be like an 8-year veteran.
Yeah, for those, I think it's just for this year, but it's the last 6 spots or whatever. There's like no like eligibility rules for those final practice squad spots. So we're gonna see some creative practice squad stashes this year. That's for sure.
Which we should.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly don't know why that, we don't need to make all the rules for the practice squad anyway. Like, I mean, give guys a chance to get in there, and give guys a chance to stick around a team,
It shouldn't take a disease to get these type of enhancements.
Right.
So
Yeah, like I still, this is a tangent, but I still don't understand, like, oh, we're gonna do this weird thing with rosters where you get 2 extra spots, but like it's only over the weekend, and then they got to go back to the practice squad and all this. Like, just make it 55 man on the roster. Like, we don't need to joke around with this. It's just I just don't get it. But
we get that.
Yeah, they just don't want to pay anybody else. So I think we all know that's the real reason why. But yeah, all right, so. That's the big signing. Let's move on to some other topics. Before we get into the training camp stuff, I want to give Eric the floor here because we have Vic Beasley news, and as our resident Vic Beasley correspondent, Eric Robinson.
I'm the correspondent. What?
You've been promoted.
You've been promoted. That's your official title now. Maybe it should be the. Eric Robinson, the official Falcoholic Live Vic Beasley prognosticator. So,
congratulations, Eric. You moving on, baby.
I was only hired and brought on just for Vic. This is
your Vic Beasley takes. Yeah,
the only thing
that's what sets you apart. Yeah. No, we know you got some. I know you got some takes on this though. So the report was that Vic Beasley basically came out and told the Falcons that, he wanted to be a pastor of a church, which is cool. But he basically said it in such a way that that made it clear that was his passion, not football. And the Falcons, decided to continue giving him that 5th-year option, that sort of thing. When he may or may not have even wanted to really play football, as we're learning with the Tennessee Titans. So, Erica, what are your thoughts on that situation?
Look, I've never played a day of professional football.
Yeah.
Okay? I've never played a game, never played it down. So I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know the sport inside and out. I'm pretty knowledgeable about it, but I don't know it through and through. But for the past couple of years, I've been saying, and you can check my Twitter account, I've been saying that I easily detected that Vic Beasley doesn't love the sport. And I think it was pretty common. It was a few things that he did here and there. Not really working out in the off season because it's the social media age. So if a player works out, he's gonna post it. He's gonna make a video. Somebody's gonna chop it up into a nice little highlight thing, and it's gonna be posted on IG Live or TikTok or Twitter or whatever. Everybody does it now. He's not one of those that did that, and I'm not saying that will solidify him doing anything, but you never really heard any news about him going to any type of camps or him meeting up with other players in the offseason. And again, that's some of the things that players do. Von Miller holds a yearly summit for pass rushers. And the top pass rushers in the league, they all go there. And they all say that they're there and they're doing stuff. You don't hear that about Beasley. You don't hear much about Beasley, putting in work in the weight room. You don't hear much about Beasley in the locker room, being vocal, being a leader. You don't hear much about Beasley even just on the field.
You don't hear about Beasley at OTAs.
At OTAs.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything about it.
Which are voluntary, technically.
They are voluntary, but I'm pretty sure.
Voluntary.
Yeah. Voluntold, more like.
I'm pretty sure Keenan can attest to this, though, but when a player is actually putting in work and he's showing that he wants to, he wants to win, he wants to get better, people are going to pick up on it. It's easy to pick up on it. It's really not that complicated. I just didn't see that from Vic. And this comes from a guy that led the league in sacks, and I didn't see anything that following year. I didn't see anything that says, okay, he's taking that next step.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And it's like with Beasley, like it's not that it's bad to not love football. Like tons of people don't love football.
No.
Like you don't have to love football, but you also have to put in like a minimum amount of work. But at the end of the day, it's not really Vic Beasley's fault in any way. Like he's not the one that gave himself the 5th-year option. Like
and I kind of blame the team on it.
Exactly. Like it's not his fault.
They gave him $13 million on a
guaranteed.
He was 2 years removed from his best season, and he didn't progress. He didn't ascend. I didn't see an array of pass rushing moves the next year. I saw a guy that really said, okay, the only way I'm gonna get to the quarterback is if I run faster than this offensive tackle. That's it. It's 2020.
There's a lot of fast pass rushers in the NFL.
There's a lot of There's a lot of fast left tackles in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
There's
After
not
a
very-
while, they figure you out.
Right, exactly.
Ron Smith is a pretty damn good athletic left tackle. Okay,
Yep.
so I mean, those days are gone.
Yeah. You
So-
can't just be an athlete in the NFL. It's not going to cut it.
If and the report has come out recently that Vic had told someone that he has a desire to start his own church and build his own church and eventually become pastor. And look, I'm not going to tell anyone what religion to follow or what they need to do with their religious studies. If that's what he wanted to do, fine. I'm all for it. I'm pushing for it. Do your thing, man. That's your passion. But my only thing is, why continue to play football at a particular level that he has over the past couple of years if you're not going to look to improve, if you're not going to look to get better, if you're not going to look to help the team win? Why even suit up?
Yeah, I mean,
To get that 13
yeah,
million.
exactly.
I can't fault him, because if the Falcons came to me and said, "Hey, dude, we want to keep you for your 5th year. We give you $13 million," I would have been like, "Okay, where do I sign?" Like,
Right.
Right.
But
Okay. Yeah.
and I get it, but that doesn't. He got his $13 million from the Falcons. Why go to Tennessee?
Right. That's the part that's more confusing to me, and it's like, to me that says maybe that he's not really sure what he wants to do. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
because
Why go to Tennessee?
Why sign the
You-
deal?
Yeah, you didn't have to go to them, because you went to them, you signed with them, and then you no-show to them, and you didn't even have any contact with them.
Yeah.
Why even put them through that? If you know deep down inside you don't want to play the sport, you got released from the Falcons, you got $13 million, you got a little bit more money than you did from your career earnings. Bye. Set off in the sunset. Do your thing. Don't even handcuff another team. Now you handcuffed another team.
Yeah.
Well, he did that just so he wouldn't completely shut the door. You know what I mean? Just in case, a couple weeks before camp or a month before camp, he's like, "Man, you know what? I'm missing this thing. I want to jump on back out there."
Yeah.
Oh.
Kind
I
of
mean,
Wasn't
it's
it not-
it's messed up. It's messed up because you got the team or whoever you playing with, you got him at gunpoint. But
Yeah.
on his end, he's like, "Man, you know what? I'm gonna keep that door open just until I really want to close it. Because
Yeah.
he's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out."
There's a lot.
Isn't
of
it a
bridges.
big? Wasn't it guaranteed like $9 million or something crazy?
Eight or
And you can
$8
start a bunch of
That's
churches
a-
with that $9
Yeah,
million.
that's a big church.
Was it all guaranteed?
And he could have. He
I'm
could
fine with
have. But my whole thing with everything that shook out with the Titans is, you can at least tell Vrabel, "Hey man, I'm not coming in."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
At the very least, "Hey man, you know what? I'm gonna
Oh, you're right. It's 100% guaranteed. Wow.
It's 100% guaranteed.
9.5 million.
Shit,
That's the least.
I'd
you
sign
he
it.
didn't-
Yeah, I'd sign it.
He didn't even want to do that. He wanted to take his money and leave the
Man.
team out in the blue.
I
At
can't
the
believe
very
he-
least, you
My
could
goodness.
have told Vrabel or the GM, "Hey guys, you know what? I appreciate this opportunity. I'm going to suit up week 1. I'm gonna be there for you guys, but thanks but no thanks when it comes to training camp."
Yeah, that's
Fine.
crazy.
That's the puzzling part about it.
I can't believe people keep giving him all this guaranteed money. Like,
Yeah, I think that's the
Yeah.
real problem is
Yeah.
if they just keep paying him. Like, how has nobody caught on to this? That's the
Hey,
Falcons were stupid,
boy.
but then the Titans didn't do any research on him. I guess
He's over the past 2 years, he's received roughly $23 million of guaranteed money, and he's had very little communication with 2 different teams.
Hey, that's a dub, man.
Man, yeah.
It is.
This
It
man should
is.
be an
It
agent.
is a
Yeah.
dub. You got $22 million. I get it. I completely get it.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, dude, if you want to skip training camp, if you want to do your own workouts, if you have other agendas in the offseason, fine. Tell the team that.
Yeah.
They're not going to punish you.
Right.
Vrabel-
I completely,
to me,
I get what you're saying. The whole respect factor of it. Like, hey, look here,
Exactly.
I'm not feeling this. Let me walk on off into the sunset and y'all do y'all thing. But hey, he's like, hey. On the other hand, he's like, man, if y'all still want to keep giving me this money, I ain't gonna
Yeah.
turn nothing down but my collar.
Veterans, Keenan, veterans do it all the time.
Man, yes, sir.
The last what, 2 or 3 seasons of Tony Gonzalez's career? How many training camp practices has he had? He didn't show up to training camp.
Yeah.
He's like, man, I'm done. I get it. If a veteran doesn't want to go to training camp and he feels he doesn't need to go, that's fine. But at least inform the team.
Right.
He didn't do that.
Yeah.
Man, it's an old saying with players, man. You know, hey, don't close that door until they put you out. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, look, my thing at this point, he's with the experiences that he's had the past 2 off seasons with the Falcons and the Titans. Man, he's burnt down a lot of bridges, man. I can't see an NFL team coming from this point saying, "Hey, Vic, you want to sign with us for a 1-year deal? We'll give you some guaranteed money." Like it's at this point, he's pretty much built a reputation that he's going to take your money and he's going to leave you out in the blue, and then he'll play when he wants to play.
Hey, he's probably fine with that too. You know, he's probably like, he's like, hey, if y'all want to keep giving me this money and I'm halfway in, I'm halfway out. You know, hey, y'all keep doing it. You know, it's one of them veteran things. It's like, man, hey, look here, make them get rid of you.
Right.
When they stop calling, okay, it's over with. But if y'all want to still keep paying me, okay.
Yeah.
I completely get that.
Yeah.
I completely get that. And I got a question earlier today on Twitter about, you know, is it possible that, you know, Beasley was able to do both, where, you know, he can follow his religion and his passion and build the church and still play football? And I brought up the example of Reggie White.
Yep.
It is possible.
Yep.
It is possible for a player to do that. But the difference between Reggie White and Beasley, Reggie still had a passion for the game. He was very studious about it. He studied the game. He studied his position. He knew what he needed to do to be the best at his position. Vic doesn't do it. That's the complete difference. If Vic wants to do both, I'm all for it. But dude, at this point, it really seems like you're just putting on the jersey and going through the motion.
Yeah, he's probably mentally not into it anymore. You know what I mean? Because from season to season, it takes a lot. You know, like that going through that football season, you accumulate so many bumps and bruises and injuries and maybe a surgery you got to get in the off season, and then you got to hurry up and heal up, and then you got to get out there and train the way that you need to train so you can go, you know, put your body through the punishment that it'll go through, but also too so you can push yourself to that next level of being a better player than you were the year before. Man, he might have got to where he was like mentally like Andrew Luck, you know. Andrew Luck got to where he was just he was like, man, I can't do this anymore mentally. And every football player comes to that point, you know. Like for me, my last 10th year, you know, and I was getting the calls from some different teams. I was like, you know what? I really don't feel I'm really not really into this anymore.
Yeah. It gets to that point.
It gets to that point. And then you make that decision. You know what? I don't want to waste y'all's time. I'm not going, you know, but I'm good.
And that is completely fine for a player. It doesn't matter that in his career. If he reaches year 2 or 3 and he's like, man, my heart ain't into it, I'm fine with that. But if that's what you want to do, make the necessary moves, inform the team. But it seems like you're holding teams at gunpoint at this point, because you're like you take your money and then you don't even talk to them, you don't communicate to them, and then I look at a guy who, like I said, his second year in the league, he led the league in sacks. Now, if you dig a little deeper in the numbers, kind of sort of looks like an anomaly a little bit, which it does. But then I don't think I've seen a pass rusher that actually reached that pinnacle and he digressed the following 2 seasons, and he was never really injured.
Yeah, I mean,
he didn't miss a year. He didn't miss a half a season. He didn't tear an Achilles. He didn't do anything. They said he
there was
switched
some hamstring
positions,
stuff, right?
But he switched positions from defensive end to outside linebacker. But honestly, if you study the Falcons defense, there's not that much responsibility in that change. The only difference is he's going to drop back in coverage a little bit more.
Yeah.
And they weren't trying to drop him too much, because then they wasting a good rusher, you know, especially with the numbers he was having.
Exactly. Yeah. So the last year they just said, dude, put your hand in the ground, get after the quarterback. And for the first 7 or 8 games, he tried. I'll say that. Yeah. He didn't really turn it on till the Falcons were already out of playoff contention. But, you know, he came in and he got 8 sacks, which was his best year statistically since his second year, since his sophomore year where he led the league. But look, I kind of feel for Dan Quinn a little bit, because he was Dan Quinn's first draft pick as a head coach. So that sentimental value is there.
Yep.
You know, the first time head coach, you're my first draft pick. So of course, Dan Quinn was going to exhaust every option he had to try to make Vic Beasley better. And he did. And it didn't work. It kind of blew up in his face. Vic basically said, I don't want to get better, coach, for the most part. So, you know, if this guy comes and suits up for Tennessee this year, it'll be interesting to see how he's incorporated and what he does there. But it just adds more evidence to my stance where I say that he really wasn't interested in the sport. And I can tell, I was able to tell that for the past 2 or 3 years, honestly. He doesn't love it.
Yeah.
I don't think he's mentally into it anymore.
No.
You know?
No.
Yeah.
I don't think
But
he's mentally into
why
it.
did the Titans, and I guess you could say the Falcons too, why does Eric Robinson know this, but they just didn't? That's the part I don't understand, because Eric knew this years ago, and the Titans saw it fit to Kevin, you looked it up. It was fully guaranteed $9 million or whatever.
Yeah. Now, some of it's a prorated bonus. That's probably based on the games that he plays, but it's still guaranteed. Like, I don't know how they could get out of it. So,
Here's what it is. He was a former first-round pick that came in and played pretty good. So Tennessee was like, well, let's see if we can, you know what I mean, get himself back. Yeah, change the environment, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Change the scenery. He can come back up here and we get him around our coaches and our culture, and he can step out there and get back to his old playing ways, because, you know, he was good at Clemson.
Yeah.
Came on the scene in Atlanta, did his thing until he started, you know, kind of tailing off a little bit. You know, so I'm thinking Tennessee, if I'm just in their heads, they was thinking that they could bring him and kind of get him around everybody and their coaches, and, you know, he has a resurgence. Atlanta kept him around, and they didn't want to look bad. That was their first round pick. Yeah. You know, you said it was Dan Quinn's. First round pick. They want, when you're a first round pick, you get a lot longer grace period than somebody who was a 5th, 6th round pick.
Yep.
And if they don't keep you around and you get signed to another contract extension, next thing you know, the owner's looking at them guys like, hey, yo, what the heck happened? That was y'all's guy. How come he ain't paying out? So, I mean, they gotta be accountable for that. You know, people start looking at you crazy when your first round picks are only sticking around for a couple years. It's like, dang, man, how come we got this guy when we could have got that guy who's now an all-pro, a perennial all-pro, a Pro Bowler, you know? So that's why he was given a shot to stay around a lot longer last year, and that's why Dan wanted to work with him a lot longer as well too.
The logic of a player changing scenery will never die in the NFL. It will always be a logic that is followed by NFL teams. Every NFL team think if we get him into our environment, he's going to be a changed player. Yeah. And that's what Tennessee attempted to do.
Every coach thinks they can fix.
Every coach thinks that they can fix something like that. Yeah. Right.
And sometimes they're right.
Sometimes they are.
Tennessee had it with Kyle Vanden Bosch, remember?
Except when he's injury prone. If he's injury prone, then that guy he's just a walking IR guy everywhere he goes. It doesn't matter. But if he's a guy like Beasley, who stayed relatively healthy throughout his career, every coach, especially a guy like Mike Vrabel, of course, who's a multi-time Super Bowl winner. He's played outside linebacker. He studied from Bill Belichick. So, of course, at this stage of his career, I mean, he pretty much just ended the Patriots dynasty. So, of course, at this stage in his coaching career, he's thinking like, hey, I can get this guy under my roof and I can change him and I can make him into that Patrick.
Yep, that ego kicks in.
It
does. Yep.
I can get him going.
Yep, I can get him going. Yep.
Hey, and if they do get him going, then pretty much everybody's looking at them like they King Dingaling.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Like, what is he doing? What is he doing to get these throwaways going again?
But to be quite honest, at this point, it has blown up in Vrabel's face, and I get it. If under these circumstances, if a guy says, "Man, I'm not too comfortable wanting to practice in training camp," I completely get it. But at the very least, man, just communicate with the team. A team is not going to, be upset at you if you say, I'm going to sit out training camp, but I'll be there week 1 when you're ready for me.
But wouldn't you, I know we made the comparison like how Tony Gonzalez and guys like that did it, but they were at the top of their game. Like they had an excuse where he probably needs to be there more than anyone. Wouldn't you agree?
I would say he needs to be around the team. I wouldn't necessarily say he needs to be on the field practicing, getting reps every day. I would say he just needs to be around the team to learn the 3-4 scheme a little bit more, which he's going to be playing now. But again, it's all about communication. You know, I mean, look, you look at what has transpired over the past couple of weeks. I mean, it got to the point where people literally thought, like, is the guy suicidal? Like, it reached that but people were worried.
Yeah, that's not good. That's not
good.
Yeah.
No. And
well, they said nobody had heard from him.
Nobody
and that's like
heard from him. And that's bad. And word travels fast in this social media digital age. And for no one to hear from him from the team, like it looked pretty ugly. Yeah. I never felt it reached that point though. I've always felt like, okay, somebody talked to the team. I don't know if it was his agent or a relative or a friend. Somebody told the team, because if it really reached that point and they really didn't hear anything about him, then you would have heard about police getting involved.
Right. Yeah. Somebody heard from something.
It never reached that pinnacle. So that's why at that point I was like, okay, somebody told Vrabel, like, look, he's away from the team. We don't really know why. He's at home. He's fine. That's pretty much what they knew about it.
Oh yeah, there was definitely communication. Somebody told him, and they was just kind of playing it like, we ain't gonna say nothing. You know, they probably bet money that his agent or he had a conversation with the GM or the head coach and was just like, hey, look here, coach, I'm really trying to figure out, do I still want to keep doing this or not? Because I'm not sure. And so they was like, hey, look here, that's fine. Don't say nothing. We'll just play it like, hey, we don't know. We're not sure of what you're doing. That way they don't look crazy by, saying, hey, we don't know if he's not sure if he's going to play or not play. And then everybody's asking him, asking them like, y'all didn't know this?
Yeah, but you just gave him $9 million in guaranteed dollars.
There you go.
Yeah, so you kind of want to cover something like that up a little bit. Yeah. I never truly bought in the fact that the team didn't hear any type of word about him. To me, that was BS. Because again, if it really would have reached that point, you would have saw reports of police getting involved or a statewide search for him or something like that. It didn't even reach that point. So he's a young man who, if he really puts his all into the sport, man, he has so much talent. But like I said, man, the guy doesn't love the sport, and not everybody does, and I get it. But he's got to at least inform somebody of that. I don't see how these two teams really haven't picked up on that at this point.
Yeah. Man, the Titans knew. Because I tell you like this, if I give somebody $9 million and they supposed to show up on a certain day and I ain't heard from them, man, I'm about to send the police. I'm about to send I'm about to send some guys I know that might not be with the law to go see about you and see what's going on. Hey, man.
They knew because they kept that fine going too. That fine rolled over to $500,000 every day he missed. Yep. So they knew. They knew he wasn't there. They knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably told him, "Hey, look here. You sit back. You figure it out, and
we're just gonna keep collecting this money back from you."
Yeah. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, because I promise you this much. I promise you this. When they were getting ready to sign him from Atlanta, guys in the league, they know each other. Coaches know each other. Evaluators know each other. Scouts, they talk.
Everybody talk. Yep.
Exactly. I bet you a bunch of people in the Tennessee organization, they made calls to people that they knew. Hey, tell me about Vic. Does he really want to play?
Absolutely.
What's his attitude? Does he come in early? Does he stay late? What's going on with him? And I'm pretty sure they took all the different little consensus that they gathered and put it on the wall and discussed it in them rooms and was just like, hey, look here, this is what we were told, this is what we heard. Boom, here's what we're going to do after they got all that out.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So even after getting all that out, they decided to still go ahead and do what they did.
It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to turn the team away from him. It was
exactly
for them to say he just needs to change environments.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's pretty much all of us.
Based on the contract, you'd think that he was like other teams were going after him because that's not like a contract that you get if one team's interested and they're the only one calling. Like $9.5 million fully guaranteed for Vic Beasley coming off, an 8-sack season, but yeah.
I thought I saw it could go up to 12.
Yeah, there's incentives in there too, I think. So
not to mention the timing of the signing too. That was still fairly early in the free agent.
March 22nd. Yeah.
So,
he's got a really good agent, baby.
He does.
He does.
That too.
The agent's crushing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, that dude, he played Tennessee against somebody and got that boy some money.
Yep. Well, good for Vic getting that money. I hope he figures out what he wants to do and is happy. That's the big thing. So we'll just hope for the best there. All right, so training camp talk. I know that's what people came for, so we're going to talk about training camp, I guess. Big news from this week. Depending on the scale of big news, probably not that big, but it was interesting, and that was that. Matt Gono, the presumptive swing tackle, actually starting at left guard, taking the first team reps there. That's a bit of a surprise. We do know now that Jamon Brown, who was another favorite for that spot, was out with an illness, not COVID, just an illness, and then now is in the concussion protocol for something else that happened to practice, I think, today. But James Carpenter's been mixing in there, and then as well as the rookie Matt Hennessy. But Gono was the starter so far. So I know, Keenan, I don't know how familiar you are with Gono, but or the rest of the depth really there for the Falcons. But what are your thoughts on that battle for left guard at this point?
I haven't really watched Gono play, but what it tells me is that if he's jumping in there left guard, he's shown something to where they hey, look here, let's see what he can do with these ones. Let's see how he looks. So it's pretty exciting because he's like a second, third year player. He didn't get much playing time last year, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's good for him coming out of a small college to get out there and show what he can do. It's like, man, you the first one to get a crack at this thing. Go ahead and take you a job. So I hope he gets out there and shows what he can do. And I hope that Jamon Brown can get back so he can push him. And also with Hennessy, sounds like Hennessy can play anywhere in that interior. We were talking about this a little while ago, sound like Hennessy's, I looked up Hennessy's resume, man. He's like all academic and all that other type of stuff at his school. So he sounds pretty sharp. So I like the competition that we got. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing, either Gono or Hennessy, go ahead and put a chokehold on that thing.
Yeah.
Hey, this is my job and I'm taking it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for the team, in terms of investment, I think they would rather Jamon Brown win it.
Right.
Based on the age and the amount of money that's given to him on his contract. But, the fact that an undrafted free agent and a rookie who's probably going to play center for the rest of his career is in the mix at that left guard spot, that tells you everything you need to know about, Jamon Brown and James Carpenter. Like, they haven't put a vice grip on the position yet, on the spot. And it's pretty much, it's a Royal Rumble right now. It's up for grabs. Best man.
Yeah. So, and it's not like either one is a total slouch. Like, James Carpenter, former first round pick, Jamon Brown, he got that contract in Atlanta off a strong, season in New York, starting at right guard, not left. But and Brown showed some improvement at the second half of the season. He had a couple penalty issues. I think I looked up the stats today for an article I'm putting it together. But I think this past season he had the most false starts in his career. There was only 3, but that was he had the most false starts in his career this year. So he was still. And keep in mind, we talked about his last episode, fellas. This is a guy that was playing right guard, but he got shifted over to left guard, and Keenan broke down how that's a really significant change for a guy who's used to playing a particular position. So he was bouncing back and forth last year. So, like I said, I think the team really wants Jamon to win it. It's not helping right now that he's in concussion protocol. So that may hurt him when it comes to week 1, because week 1 will be here before you know it. Yeah.
They're going to mess around and make a money move. Watch.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, we can pay this boy a couple $100,000 as opposed to paying Jamon this couple mil.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, and they'll just have to swallow that dead money.
I mean, they're not cutting him. They're not cutting him or James Carpenter. They don't save anything. So, I mean, I don't think they... Like, next year, absolutely. But, yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Vic Beasley with the Titans. Like, even if they don't think Vic's going to show, they can't really cut him because they don't save any money, so there's no point. If they were to cut Jamon Brown, they actually lose $1.8 million in cap space. So, there's a 0% chance that he's getting cut. I mean, Thomas Sterntroff, excellent contract structure there. Thank you for that. But... yeah, I mean,
was Justin McCray or whatever, was he competing at left guard too?
He was apparently the backup center.
He had some reps. Didn't he have some reps? He filled in for Alex Mack yesterday.
Which I thought was interesting.
Was given a day off. But
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting too.
Yeah.
But he's more of an interior guy.
He is.
And I thought he was going to be in the mix there too.
Yeah.
I thought he was a left guard, but maybe I was wrong.
Yeah, so McCray played tackle at UCF, and he was pretty good, but he doesn't have the length to play tackle in the NFL. I mean, he's got short arms.
Green Bay put him at tackle.
Yeah, that was not great.
Week 2 in 2017, and actually Vic Beasley had a pretty good game that day.
Yeah.
He went against
But when they moved him to guard, the following year, he started 5 games at guard. He was like an average to above average starter. So he's a good athlete. He's actually a good guard. It's just if you put him at tackle, he's not going to look good because he doesn't have the length. I mean, you can get by with mediocre length in the AAC or whatever, where UCF's playing, but you can't in the NFL. It's hard.
Yeah.
So you can count on one hand the number of offensive tackles that really succeed with the arm length that he has, which is, I think it's like sub 33-inch arms. So that's pretty short arms for the position, so that's tough. But I like McCray, honestly. Like, I think that he has an outside shot of getting that job just because he's super cheap. He has been a good guard. But, like, Matt Gono has maybe the best upside there, like, long-term. But the only issue with Matt Gono winning the job is that then you have to find a new swing tackle. So, or if, you have a tackle injury, then all of a sudden you're shuffling 2 guys around on the offensive line, and that's not great. But, we've heard good things about the undrafted guy, Evan Kasarczyk. He's been, I guess, playing pretty well. He's outlasted, I think, like 2 other undrafted tackles that have both been cut. So, he's certainly in the mix. I believe he was like an All-American out of Buffalo, University of Buffalo. Yeah. So, he's got some pedigree. He's another. The Falcons seem to have a knack for finding these undrafted tackles who just kind of linger and then end up starting eventually. Ryan Schrader's another one. Matt Gono might be the next one in that line, but. Yeah, it's interesting that McCray was the backup center and not Hennessy. I found that kind of puzzling.
Was Hennessy in at left guard?
Probably.
Yeah,
probably.
He got some left guard looks.
Yeah. I mean, while McCray was in, because that would kind of make sense if they were
Yeah.
really focused on Hennessy and they just wanted McCray to kind of plug in.
Yeah.
But I guess it would depend in that situation who was at left guard while McCray was at center.
Yeah.
See, I thought it would have been Swiss having Hennessy at center and McCray at guard, but
Right.
I guess they're trying to get them some looks against those 1s and 2s just to see, hey, how you.
Yeah, that's
how it's looking.
That's how Quinn is just like that, man. He'll just throw a combination out there and let's see if it works. Let's see what it looks like. So that's I think he's just experimenting when it comes to that. I think in all likelihood, Hennessy's probably going to be the backup center once week 1 kicks off.
Probably, yeah. But
he just wants to see how players react because you never know, man. We saw it last couple of years, man. Injuries can get out of hand.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, and like McCray, we know he can play tackle. It's not great. He can play tackle. Like, he's physically capable of playing and has experience playing tackle. But
no offense.
No
if
offense.
he's playing tackle, things are going bad.
It's not great. But he can in a pinch. He can play guard, obviously, and if he can also play center, that makes him very valuable as, that extra offensive lineman on game day, because this man can suit up and play any position on the offensive line. So that could be a sign that they like him as one of those depth options. So it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me if they keep like 9 offensive line this year, just because of COVID and everything that's going on. Yeah. So McCray would probably be the favorite for that 9th spot. But Kasarczyk is interesting. John Wetzel seems to be the invincible man that just keeps getting cut and coming back infinitely. He's like just that guy. So hey, I'm sure Wetzel's okay with it as long as he.
I'm sure Keenan is like, hey man, load up that position. You can never have too many offensive line.
Oh my gosh, man. Hey, because they usually go into the game with about 7 guys active. You know, you got your starting 5, and then you got your swing tackle, and then you got your guy that can play on that interior 3. Yeah. So you're one injury away from
having Levine Tololo at your right tackle.
There you go.
That was a bloodbath.
I'm telling you, hey, you're probably a couple plays away from having that backup tight end jumping. Hey, yo, we need you to go play. I ain't never played. Hey, you got to get out there.
Yep. You're about to have 3 tight ends on that side every snap.
I'm saying, hey, and now the center and the tackle are telling you what to do.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. I think that was another rule that there can be extra active players, I think, on game days now. I forget exactly, because it used to be, 45 on 45 game day? I think it can be 48 now, but one of them has to be an offensive lineman. So I think maybe that's kind of speaking to what you were saying, Keenan, which is, maybe they'll have an 8th active offensive lineman on game day now.
What's up with all these stipulations?
That's what I'm saying. Like, just don't even have inactives. Like,
just have what you need. I mean, if you feel more comfortable with 50 than 48, then so be it. Whatever. I don't get it.
I mean, it's
some dang competition committee,
right?
Yeah,
well, they're probably like, we don't want to give teams that are fully healthy and have 53 guys an advantage over guys that only have like 46 healthy. But like, honestly, are those like last 7 guys on the roster like really going to make a difference in the game? Like, I think if you can assemble 53 guys that are awesome and you can get them all snaps in an actual game, like, more power to you, you know? Like, but like, most of those guys, like, you're not going to take your starters off the field even to rest them for these final guys on the roster. You know, those are injury replacements. So I just think it's overblown, but I digress there. But yeah, offensive line's definitely a battle to watch. Keenan, I think did you end up winning your starting job in camp that first year, or was it after camp? I can't remember.
It was actually in camp. When we went to Furman, which is where we used to have camp at, I came in, I was the 3rd string offensive guard. And then on the first week, the 1st string guard, he got hurt. So next thing you know, I'm running 2s and 3s. You know, I was gassed out there, but it was giving me extra
reps.
Reps, right? Give me extra looks, but also too getting me in shape as well, right?
Yeah.
So after a couple weeks, I think after like the first preseason game, they started giving me a few more reps with them ones, and then next thing you know, the 3rd preseason game, I'm starting against the Redskins at FedEx Field, and boom, there it happened.
Did they only have you at right guard, like working you out?
I was going both sides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was learning both sides. Like at first, matter of fact, in mini camp and OTAs, I was at right guard, and then next thing you know, I got moved to left guard, and then when the injury happened, to the first teamer that first week, next thing you know, I'm back at right guard. So having to do 2s and 3s, it was good to go both ways. Hell, I was hungry. I didn't care where I played. Yeah. So it kind of reminds me of this O-line, how they got right now.
Yeah,
you got some guys, you read their resumes, Gono's coming from a small college. He's didn't play very much. So he's got to be hungry. You got the one McCray. He's been in the Arena League a couple years after getting cut from an NFL team. Hell, he should be hungry.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
and then, you got the young guy, Hennessy, I'm sure they know he can play center, but hey, let's see if you can play some guard too.
Yeah, I think they loved him coming out. Like, that was like one of the players I felt the strongest about they were going to draft, just because we heard so much about, they love Hennessy. They love Hennessy, man. Oh, they just love, yeah. The name's great too.
Think about it. You got to think about it from a long-term standpoint as well. When you're offensive lineman, I mean, which position gets more money in free agency, a guard or center? So if you can show that you're able to hold your own at guard, you can be setting yourself up for a payday in the future, depending, on how well you play there. So if you're a guy like Hennessy, man, you're wherever they want you, stand out. Do your thing.
Yes, sir.
Knock it out.
Yes, sir.
you can be setting yourself up in the long run, to be honest with you.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
Them guards, they get paid so they can block them high-paid 3 techniques like the Fletcher Coxes and the Aaron Donalds.
I can't wait to see Quentin Nelson's contract.
Right. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, he's going to make more than left tackles. I'll tell you what. Yeah.
Man, he might be getting quarterback money. Right.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, man, that dude's insane.
He's going to have a Brinks truck in his driveway.
Yep.
Oh, man.
He's going to have a solid gold toilet.
Yeah.
No limit.
Yeah, no limits. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. Offensive line this year is obviously a big deal with all, the injuries last year, and offensive line's probably one of the biggest areas they can improve. Chris Lindstrom coming back, obviously huge. Caleb McGarry getting that season of work under his belt is huge. And then the big question is really just left guard, because left tackle and center are both good. So hopefully the competition will breed a strong starter from that group, and we'll have a really good offensive line this year, because Lord knows Matt Ryan needs it with all these drops that Dirk Cutter's calling. So.
Hey, quick question. What's going on with Sean Harlow? I mean, I know he was a 3rd, 4th round pick of ours a few years ago. He's been kind of cut, brought back, and all that. Has he kind of been in the mix there? I haven't heard him in the mix for that left guard.
I haven't heard much.
Yeah.
I think right now he's 3rd string.
Yeah, I believe he's 3rd. Because with him, it was always pass pro. Like, he's a great run blocker. That was what he was known for in college, and it just seemed like in the preseason, like he would have these great reps as a run blocker, and then he'd just get destroyed as a pass blocker. And in Atlanta, it's like, it's just, if you can't pass block,
they already know what they're getting with Harlow. So it's not really a situation where they need to kind of put him in, in certain positions and see how he pans out. They already know who he is and his limitations. I think if they go to a situation where they want to keep him, I think he's safe, honestly, as a roster spot. Even though it sounds like I know he's 3rd string, but I think he's a safe 3rd string. Like, it might be a situation where, he's bumped up to 2nd string depending on cuts go. But again, you don't know what you're getting from Gono at left guard. You don't know how Hennessy's going to play at left guard, and you're still kind of waiting for Jamon Brown to hit the ground running at left guard. But I think with Harlow, they already know what they're going to get with Harlow. He's been there before. He's been in the system for a few years, so I don't expect much from him, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
unless he just comes out there beasting guys the first few days, and they're like, oh man, we need to get him some ones with the ones.
I'm cool with that. I mean, I'm totally open. I know they were cross training him at center too, to give him some more of that interior versatility. But yeah, I mean, I know that they loved his like competitiveness and like his just demeanor coming out of college. That was one of the big reasons they thought that they could kind of just take him and teach him how to pass block. It kind of reminds me of like what you were saying, Keenan, about your start in the league, where you came from a program where it was just air raid passing all the time, and then they're like, all right, go in there and run block for Mike Vick and all these guys. It's just, all right, I guess I got to do something else, but it's harder than it looks.
Yeah, a lot. You got to spend a lot of time on some of them foot patterns, man. And pass pro, that's one of them things you got to get a feel for. You got to get a feel for it, and also too, you got your different rushes up there that you got to learn how you gonna pass pro them. It's definitely an art.
Yeah, it's tough.
And the team has they have a history of like kind of bringing those guys back and forth. Because Harlow, I think you mentioned it, but went to the Colts and then came back, and then he ended up being waived and brought back. On the practice squad, off the practice. They have those kind of players. I can't think of another example off the top of my head, but you guys know what I mean, where they just keep them around. I mean, Brian Hill was kind of like that. He went to what?
Was it Wetzel? Is it John
Wetzel's a perfect example. Wetzel's pretty much cut every other day and then brought back there for a minute. I think he's literally been cut and brought back like 6 or 7 times. They're comfortable with these guys. So.
Yeah. Leroy Reynolds, he's back.
Leroy Reynolds. Yeah. Brian Hill went to I think wasn't he with the Bengals and then came back?
Yep.
And then I'm blanking. Eric, you'll know him, but the linebacker who went to the Seahawks and to the Colts, and then we brought him back.
Grace
from Miami,
Jermaine
University
Grace.
of Miami.
Yeah, Jermaine Grace.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So they brought him back. Obviously, they were kind of comfortable with him, and I'm not sure where he's at now, but They get those guys, in the Quinn era.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, that's good because it's like, hey, we're gonna keep your number, and like, if we have a need, like we're gonna call you, and they do that consistently with guys. So it does build like a loyalty, and like we've heard players say it, like they just love playing for Quinn. So it's like if they get calls, they're probably gonna take Quinn's call first. So that's always a nice thing to have.
And they know what they're getting from these guys. Maybe they're not ever going to be all-stars or anything, but they're comfortable with what they've seen. So.
Yeah,
man, for those guys, hopefully they, sometimes getting cut a bunch of times, it can kind of be a blow to you a little bit to your head. But hopefully those guys, they don't get down on themselves or let it wear them down. Hopefully they just know, hey, look here, man, they still believe in you. You just got to keep improving and keep grinding and getting better at your craft and what you're doing.
Well, when you worked out with Harlow, did you know him before, or was that your first meeting? Because I know you met McGarry and Lindstrom prior to your workout with them. Did you already?
I had actually met Harlow his rookie year because I was doing O-line, D-line elite camp when I was still coaching high school football. We were doing a camp over at Flowery Branch High School, and he was one of the guest speakers that came in. Kevin Winston, had set it up to where he come over there and talk to the young boys. And so I always know who he drafted, and I saw he went to Oregon State, and so he played underneath my line coach, Mike Cavanaugh, who was there at Oregon State. But Cav, I had him at Hawaii, of course, so we kind of got to meet each other and talk during that time. So and I also ran into him at a where were we at? It was actually the night that Chris Lindstrom got drafted. We were down at the stadium. Like I had an appearance with him and Grady and Keanu and a couple other guys. So we got to talk then. So, that's kind of a way we kind of related or got to know each other because we both played under Mike Cavanaugh. And so when he came back this past summer for a little bit, we already were familiar with each other. And he was pretty familiar with what I was going to be working on just because we had the same sensei.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's great. I mean, it's really cool that you're getting to work with all these Falcons players, giving us kind of the inside scoop on some of the work that they're doing. That's really cool to hear.
He looked good in our workouts.
Man,
I was actually kind of mad. Like, man, I wish he would have came earlier. I really could have, really got my hands dirty with him a little bit. So hopefully, hopefully he continues to come back and reach out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's ever been like a work ethic or a competitiveness issue with Harlow. I think it's just like changing his game from where he was at to what the Falcons needed, and it's hard. Like it's not easy. It's not easy to crack the lineup in the NFL. Sometimes things break your way. sometimes fortuitous events happen in front of you and you get a shot early, and sometimes it doesn't. And then you're just stuck as the second, third string guy behind. I think when Sean Harlow was drafted, it was like Andy Levitre and Chris Chester, and they just had a lot of good guys at the position, and it just was hard to break in for him. So maybe you can get a shot now and earn a starting job, or basically demand a depth role as one of those last offensive linemen, something like that. So that would be cool to see for him because he's had to bounce around a lot, and that's a stressful life, just going around and moving all the time. So. Some stability.
Yeah, it's a big jump.
Yeah.
It's a big jump coming from college to the NFL, and especially if you play in that interior. Like, let's just say you're going against the biggest, strongest men in the world, playing either nose, 3, or whatever it is, or the 4 technique. So, it's a big jump, and, it's you got to really be working hard on your craft every off season, in season, being on top of your game to go out there and play with those guys. Man, some of those dudes are. Man, you will see the biggest men in the world stepping out there between them lines on Sunday playing in that interior, man.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh my God,
I wouldn't want to be there. I'll tell you that. that's not my game, But no, it's. I mean, and it's smart, like savvy guys too. Like it's not just size and speed. It's like these guys are masters of their craft too. So it's like you can't just be like bigger than stronger anymore. It's like, oh yeah, this guy, okay, I think I got the size aspect down, and then he hits you with some crazy move you've never seen before. There's some stunt going on in front of you, and guys are just It's a tough league, man.
Hey, and it gets even tougher when they line up and they look at the formation. Hey, we got power coming over here, and then they really sit down heavy. You're like, God dang it!
No, that's not what we're running. You guys are wrong over there.
Yeah. Oh, hey, I got the Reese over here, and then he directing traffic with everybody else. You're like, how you know that?
Yep, those guys are smart, man.
Slide coming this way.
Oh, man. All right. So the other news that we got out of camp was the stuff about the secondary. AJ Tyrell starting. Isaiah Oliver starting. Kendall Sheffield, I believe, had been missing some practice with an injury, but he was back in a limited fashion today, so that was good news. But the other big update was that the free agent signing Darqueze Dennard is starting. He's playing it as the slot corner. So for those that are wondering whether he was going to be inside or outside, it is inside, it looks like, at least at this point. And Tyrell apparently has been super impressive. I think he's had a pick, maybe multiple picks. They were saying he's been able to hang with Julio, which is no small feat, we know. Just looking impressive, which is what you want to hear about your first round pick in camp. Because a lot of times, if no news is good news on players, but with your first round pick, you want to hear how he's doing. So, Evan, I'll give you a chance to kick off here with this. Anything? Oh, the other thing was KZ was starting over Ricardo at free safety, but they were using a lot of 3 safety sets, as we had said. So, any from those notes, Evan? Anything that you want to touch on?
No, I mean, you pretty summed it up well. I think everybody's probably seen that Tyrell video where he intercepted that pass. It's just good for his confidence, I guess, because he probably heard a lot of shit about, he was drafted and a lot of people were upset. A lot of people mentioning the championship game and stuff. And Eric broke it down, really well on the Falcoholic.com about why people probably shouldn't be panicking over it. But because LSU's, receivers did that to pretty much everyone. Right. It's just good confidence builder, I guess. You see the other players, after he had the interception, everybody congratulating him and stuff like that. It's just a good thing to see,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just good to see it. We're all team, watch the tape, not just watch the national championship. It's always hard when, your final game of the season, such a high profile, when you struggle, but honestly, AJ Tyrell didn't play bad in that game. Watch the first half; he was good. Don't just watch the second half.
No, he didn't. He didn't play bad. He gave up 2 touchdowns technically, but if you look at the film, you look at it, thoroughly, and if you know what to look for, that's the difference between people who would just watch YouTube highlight films. If you know what you look for, AJ Tyrell was in the hip pocket of Jamar Chase.
Yeah,
just about all game. One of the touchdowns that Chase had, it was a blatant push off.
Yeah.
Separation. Outside of that, dude, Chase could not get any type of separation.
Yeah, early in that game, Tyrell shut him down. Yeah. That was
Tyrell
impressive.
Shut him down. So it's and I wrote in the recent column for as far as things to look for in training camp. And the one thing that I did mention was AJ Tyrell. Keep your eye on AJ Tyrell, because in order for him to progress, he's going to have that trial period. He's going to have to go against Julio. He's going to have to go against Ridley. Don't shy away from those two, because that's arguably the best wide receiver duo in the league. So you're going to have to, get that rough patch out of the way so you can be able to handle the Mike Evans and the Michael Thomases and the DeAndre Hopkins of the league.
Yeah.
And so far, so good. He's given up a couple catches, but again, if you know what to look for, I can't remember a play where a receiver, including Julio, had a large window of separation against AJ Tyrell.
Yeah.
This guy's 6'1", 200 pounds, and normally big corners, their biggest issue is their hip fluidity, not being able to flip their hips, not being able to move laterally in a direction. They can move vertically. They can go up. They can go north and south. When you ask them to go east and west across the field, they struggle. AJ Tyrell does not show that, which is what makes him stand out as a big corner. He is able to flip his hips in time, mirror receivers, and he can stay Velcro to a receiver all day. And that's what he showed. And that's what I've seen so far. You go back and look at his interception in training camp. He played it perfectly. Cover 3, did not let really get over the top. Read the ball, read the pass, read the route, went up and snagged it. Yeah. Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's how you play it.
Exactly.
And that's what I want to see.
Yeah. It's easy to see, like, the difference between a corner like Oliver, who, first of all, Oliver has, like, absurd length. Like, he has one of the longest arm length wingspans of any corner in the NFL. Like, he's just a super long guy. But he's kind of high-waisted, and he's kind of, he can struggle to change directions a bit. That's why he's a better outside corner. That's why he's the type of guy you want matched up with, like, a Mike Evans. Mike Evans isn't, going to be doing a stutter step, double move on you that's going to crush you. Like, Mike Evans is going to be running that, 9 route down the field and trying to go over the top of you, and that's what Isaiah Oliver's good at covering. But when we watched him line up on these slot receivers and these shifty guys, he's going to struggle with that. But Tyrell's that rare guy that has the good size, who's also got the hip fluidity. You can see he's a little bit closer to the ground as far as his hips, not quite as high-waisted, a little bit more fluid with his movements, and he's a guy that might be a better matchup on the outside against those shiftier guys. Also faster. I mean, he runs like a 4.4, low 4.4.
Yeah, so, which is really good for, like I said, a 200-pound corner.
But that's why he's a mid-first rounder, and Oliver's like a mid-second rounder, early second rounder. So there's a little bit difference in stock there, but different kinds of corners. But you got to have guys that can play all these different types of receivers. You got to have, in the NFC South, you got to have someone who can match up with a Mike Evans, someone who's big. You got to have someone who can do that, and you also have to have guys that can match up with these shifty guys like Michael Thomas that are going to run these slants, that are going to try to do this quick foot stuff to get around you. AJ Terrell can do that. And you have to have a guy, as they do now with the Darqueze Dennard, who, when these guys go in the slot, or you got someone who's arguably the team's best receiver like a Chris Godwin or Michael Thomas lines up in the slot, you got to have a slot corner who can match up with these alpha receivers in the slot. And, no offense to Kendall Sheffield last year, like, he was not quite up to that challenge, and now the Falcons have arguably, one of the better slot corners in the NFL in Darqueze Dennard to be able to give them some of that help on the inside that they were missing. So, I think this secondary could be really good. And, the influence of the coaching is big too. Joe Witt Jr., his influence could be big. He's a universally respected secondary coach as well. So,
I think in the long run, I think the cornerback position can be the best position on the team, honestly. If everybody is to stay healthy and they are to develop, I mean, there's some really good raw talent in that position right now, and it's deep. Getting a guy like Darqueze Dennard, bringing him in, and if you can have, your 16th overall pick, start the season as maybe your third or fourth cornerback. That means you've got some nice players in front of them, more than likely. So this is they're new. They need to gel. They need to have some chemistry. But again, I think the potential, like, this can be the best position on the team in the long run. And to be honest with you, I definitely think this can be the best position on defense this season if everything goes according to plan. And Joe Witt is a future head coach.
Yeah,
it's only a matter of time.
Yeah, I heard nothing.
Making his second tour with the Falcons too. He was here during the Petrino debacle.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah. No,
that guy, he's worked in Green Bay. He worked with Tramon Williams, and he's worked in Cleveland as well. This guy is, like I said, he's a future head coach, man. It's only a matter of when and not if. Just give him some time, especially if he can, mold these corners this year. I honestly would not be surprised if he gets some defensive coordinator calls next offseason. Honestly,
that's the next step.
Yep.
That's the next step.
Yep.
Hey, can I say something about AJ Terrell real fast, real quick? About a month or so ago, he came into Dash Performance in the gym, and so two things that I noticed about him, which I guess when I first came up and met him, he looked me right in my eyes and introduced himself. He just had like this laser stare, which told me, okay, yeah, he got, you know what I'm saying? He's focused. He's got that laser focus, and he's confident in who he is and what he's about. You know what I'm saying? I noticed that right off the bat, and I liked it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And when he shook my hand, he had a nice grip to him, which I like, because that showed me he's strong. He's not just, you know, some twig of a corner out there. And he also has some long arms, has some length to him.
Yeah.
So, you know, that right there tells me, okay, you know, them 50-50 ball, that ain't no problem for him because of his height and his arm length. That's no problem. But also, too, you know, just that confidence that he looked me right in my eyes, introduced himself, and we talked a little bit because he went to Westlake, and I had a former teammate that went to school out there, and we knew kind of the same people. And so, you know, I got a pretty good feeling about him. And then seeing him making some of these plays in training camp the way he's making, getting up, flexing on people, you know, after making a play on Ridley and Julio, I was just like, okay, that's what I don't want to say that that's what I saw in the gym because he wasn't making no plays, but it didn't surprise me, you know, just that confidence that he's playing with.
The pick was one thing, but the play he had on Julio, I was a little bit more impressed with that.
Yeah. Because it wasn't a great thrown ball in the pick, for being honest.
It wasn't. But again, it's Julio, and I believe Julio was running a drag, and again, he was Velcro to Julio's hip pocket. Got his hand in at the perfect time, raked the ball away out of Julio. Something you don't see. You don't even see all-pro cornerbacks doing that nowadays. Like some all-pro cornerbacks struggle with that when it comes to trying to wrestle the ball from Julio, and they get embarrassed. He did it. And that right there was like, okay, I honestly like that play more than the pick. Because the pick, I kind of expect him to make a play on the ball. He's long. I love Calvin Ridley, but Ridley, when it comes to contested catches against 6'1" corners that got, you know.
Yeah, that's not really his game.
And we just gonna leave that there.
Right.
But for him to go in and beat Julio on that drag route across the middle, that was impressive.
Yeah.
I like that. He's getting confidence, and that's what he needs.
Yeah, buddy.
Don't put. Please, I honestly hope he doesn't get any reps against third or fourth string receivers. He don't need that.
Yeah.
Let him cover Julio and Ridley every time they out on the field.
Right. Because that's what he's gonna have to see. I know last week we was talking. Not we, but last week I said something about let him play a little nickel, get his confidence up. No, that's out the window, man. Put him out there with those two guys and let's get him ready. You know.
Put him out there. Let him get his rough spots out of the way early. You know, if Julio beats him, then hey, that's Julio, man. Really much you can.
You gotta be able to handle that type of stuff as a corner, though. Like especially a rookie corner. Like you have to have confidence because there's a lot of rules in football, and one of the big ones is corners get burned. All corners get burned, and if you can't get over the fact that you got beat, you're not gonna last as a corner, especially in the NFL, because there's a lot of good receivers out there and a lot of good quarterbacks.
Look at the Falcons' schedule this year, man. Look at the receivers that they're going up against. I mean, they got DK Metcalf in week 1. Week 2, they got to go to Dallas and deal with Amari Cooper and Michael Gallup. You know?
And CD.
And CD Lamb. You know, Michael Thomas is, of course, you know, he's coming up twice. Tyreek Hill is later in the season. Mike Evans is coming up twice. You know, Cortland Sutton with Denver. Kenny Golladay with Detroit. They're going to get some really good – I mean, it's elite talent at receiver literally every week of the season, okay? Let him get it out of the way.
Right.
That's the only way he's going to get better.
Right. He's going to take his wins and he's going to take his bumps too. And I just pray Falcon Nation don't get too hard on him. Get out there and he has a bad afternoon because
it's
going to happen. You know.
Yeah, that's Falcon Nation.
You already know they will.
Yeah, you know, Falcon Twitter be on there. Oh, get rid of him. He looks like the Clemson game.
Get this bum out of here.
Come on now, y'all.
It's going to happen.
Oh, you haven't been on Twitter since for any of the games, have you?
Yeah.
No, I have not, but I'm going to be on there this year, and I'm going.
It gets ugly.
It gets
That's
ugly.
what I remember you saying that.
Yeah.
It's going to come up. Trust me.
Yeah,
Watch.
it will. But like,
He could shut down Julio in practice, but he's struggling against Metcalf. Man,
Yeah.
this boy ain't no good.
First time, like Tyler Lockett's gonna beat him for like a 20-yard catch, and everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, he's a bust."
Yeah, I told you. I told you he wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Forget
just
the
how
fact
it
that
is.
Tyler
Yeah.
Lockett
Right.
Don't
the
take
best
people
slot
too
receiver in the league.
seriously.
But
Yeah.
yeah, that don't matter.
This is why
Yeah,
rookies.
let him grow. Let him take his
Let him grow.
growing pains.
Yeah,
It's
man.
gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
We just gotta trust that he's gonna be in practice every day, going against the best. He's going against a Hall of Famer, so Julio is gonna tell him, "Hey, look here, man. I saw you doing this the other day. That's why I was able to do that and take advantage of you." You know what I mean? So just getting that mental through you, because in college, sometimes you're just a better athlete, or you're bigger and stronger than everybody else.
Yeah.
And maybe the mental part of your game ain't all the way where it needs to be. He's gonna get that. He's gonna get a lesson in that every day going against Julio.
Yep. I remember when Trufant came in the league, and I believe it was his first training camp, and he was wanting Julio.
Yeah.
He was wanting to line up opposite of Julio every chance he can get. How else are you going to get better in practice? I mean,
Right.
How many other corners got better in practice lining up against Jerry Rice? How many other corners got better in practice lining up against Tim Brown and Chris Carter? That's the only way you're going to get better.
Yep.
You're going to get beat. You're probably going to get embarrassed. It's going to happen. But that's the only way you're going to get better, man. And so far, so good. He's been making a couple plays, and that's what we expect of him, man. Just let the guy breathe, okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. He got that quiet confidence, so I believe he'll be a good pick for us long term.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's not a real overly loud talking guy, unless he was just quiet that day that I met him. You know what I mean? But watching that tape of him making that play, he got up and he brought some juice to that defense. Like, they was like, "Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Rook, you getting it like that? Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do it."
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. No, so yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, obviously, we would ask fans, to give the rookies a little bit of breathing room, but we all know that's not going to happen. So there's no point really in us asking.
Right.
But,
No, they expect every first rounder to be an All-Pro in year one, and that's not realistic.
Well,
but,
but it is what it is.
Be patient with him, Falcon Nation.
Yeah, it's going to be, well, it just depends. It depends on how the Falcons play, right? Because if they win the game, no one's going to care if Tyrell got burned, for a touchdown. Like, no one's going to care. Yeah. But if they get blown out in week 1 again, like it seems to have been a pattern the last 2 years.
I don't know, man. This is the same fan base that blamed Matt Ryan for Super Bowl 51. I don't know.
Wow.
So, they'll find somebody to blame.
Yeah, this is why we can't have nice things. Yeah.
Right.
All right, folks. Well, we are just about at an hour and 20 here, so we're going to go ahead and wrap things up for the evening. Before we get out of here, though, I do want to thank my guests. First of all, Keenan Forney on Twitter at KForney65. Keenan, anything that you're working on now you want to let the people know about?
Still working with my high school kids over the weekend. I can't wait till Christmas here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Talking about the football season, not Christmas, but Christmas.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Can't wait till it get here so we can see what our new toys look like.
Real quick, Keenan, I want to get your input. Like I said, real quick on the Falcons going fanless. How do you think that's going to look, man? How you think that's going to?
And possibly pumping in crowd noise.
That's going to be a little bit weird, man. Because
really?
the players they like to play in front of the fans. They like having the fans there, especially to create that home field advantage. I know the defense players like it because fans bringing in the noise, so the offense can't work the way they want to, and offensively, whenever you make a first down or touchdown, the fans give you energy when they give you that love. It's gonna be weird, but they gotta adjust to it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's gonna be something different for anybody to see. I've never seen a Sunday afternoon game where there ain't no fans there. So we're gonna see.
It's going to be like one of those days where you're kind of like playing football in the park. Like, there's really no fans. There's nothing but you and your boys. I mean, you look. If you're a football fan and you're not familiar with what's said on the football field, you will be familiar this year. It's some ugly stuff that's said on the football field.
Oh man,
yeah,
I wouldn't recommend it. All right,
it'll be interesting.
Parental
Like-
discretion is advised.
Yeah, it's gonna have that R-rated sticker on there.
Yeah.
For teams that usually have that are tough to play, obviously people think of going to Seattle. It'll be interesting because all of a sudden the home field's not as
It's gone.
you're still traveling, but the
There's
crowd
no
is
12th
gone.
man.
Yeah,
There's no 12th man. That's
yeah.
there's no crowd at Lambeau.
Mm-hmm.
It's
For the Falcons specifically, going to New Orleans, that's usually tough just because their fans, they go crazy when
or even going to Dallas in week 2.
Right? Yeah. That would be a loud environment for sure.
Yeah.
You know what? While you tripping, y'all are making some good points. You'll really get to truly see what each side of the ball can do, because there's sometimes you go into some of these stadiums, like how you said, Evan, with New Orleans, and I can remember playing in New Orleans for that game after Katrina, and you can't hear Mike Vick give us the play call at all.
It doesn't
He has
matter
to
what
start kinda
season it
signing the
is.
stuff to us. Yeah.
Yeah, Falcons in New Orleans, they're always loud.
Right.
That's just.
Or some of these
And
other
one thing-
stadiums like Philly or wherever else you might go where it's
Oh,
crazy.
yeah.
There's another one. Yep.
One thing I wanted to add, I was reading, Sean Payton actually came up with this idea, and the NFL's apparently considering it and hasn't ruled it out. But about the NFL teams in the playoffs doing a potential bubble. I would imagine, because I think the Super Bowl's in Tampa this year, so I imagine maybe that would be where the bubble would be. But but the NFL hasn't ruled it out. They're apparently considering it, so that would be interesting.
Maybe let's save that for the next show.
Yeah.
Break that down next time.
But I can see the cons behind it.
Yeah.
Having 3 or 4 games on the same field, that's going to create issues as far as.
Well, and then all of a sudden, because they practice usually for playoffs, don't they practice at different?
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're just showing up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Because nobody has home field unless Tampa makes it, obviously. But that's never,
Yeah. That'll be interesting.
I can have some cons. But we'll save that for the next show.
Yeah, we gotta save some content for next time. But definitely, guys. Check out Keenan's Twitter, and I believe it's the Instagram too, right?
Yes, sir. F65 Performance for any young lineman that wants to get better at what they do. When you want to take your game to the next level, hit me up, man. I'm always posting some kind of content on there, whether it's kids working out, I take high school, college, pro, come get some work, get yourself better,
Absolutely, guys. Definitely check that out. Look, 2 first-round picks trust this man, okay? So you're probably not a first-round pick, so you got no excuse. So
actually more than that. Andrew Thomas, too.
Yeah, multiple. 3 first-round picks. Yeah, this is first-round picks are just rolling in. Yeah.
And a second rounder in Kinley.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. Yep. So.
And Sean Harlow.
Yeah, so you guys got no excuses.
And the preseason All-Stater, my guy down in Carrollton, Georgia. Dang, I forgot his name that fast. Oh my goodness.
Sorry, put you on the spot with that one. Yeah.
He's probably not watching, so it's okay.
Lyndon Cooper. Sorry about that, man. I had you on my heart, man. You on my heart, man. My mind just slipped, but
I'm sure he'll forgive us for that. Yeah, if he ever watches this show. Yeah. Shout out to Lyndon. Yeah. Also, this tonight, Evan Birchfield at Evan Birchfield on Twitter. Evan, anything you're working on you want to plug?
Nothing specific. Obviously, when we get on here, you all know time flies. So just go to Falcoholic.com. There's a lot of news we didn't get to, like Danny Etling was released, and then he's already signed with the Seahawks, I believe. And then if you've got I think it's $20,000 to buy the 2016 Falcons NFC Championship ring, you can do that because it's for sale on eBay.
Yep.
That's it?
Yeah. Only $20,000.
Apparently, BJ Daniels, who I didn't even know was on the roster.
He was on the practice squad, I believe. But the practice squad players get rings.
Oh, it's his ring?
Yeah, it's his ring.
Apparently.
They
had to cover it up,
his
but
ring.
people did some, for $17,000-$18,000 or something.
Oh man, he must need that bread.
He must need it. Yeah.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's coming with some hard times.
I thought he had a Super Bowl ring already with Seattle.
He
But
did.
He
He
might,
does. He does.
Okay, so maybe that's why.
Maybe, yeah. He's already got, I can only wear 1 ring at a time,
Yeah.
Yeah. Those rings are big,
I
too.
hate that for him, man. You got to sell that NFC Championship ring, man.
That's rough.
Yeah.
But, hey, times is tough. So, I understand, sometimes you got to do that stuff. But, yeah, it's sweet.
Yeah.
Ring. Also with us, folks, Eric Robinson on Twitter @_Eric_Robinson. I was trying to say the underscore before I even finished your name. All right. Eric, go ahead and plug your stuff.
I'm working on an article right now, giving three offensive predictions for the 2020 season. Be on the lookout for that. One of them includes what I think Todd Gurley is going to lead the league in. There's a specific statistical category that I think Todd Gurley is going to top the NFL in. So be on the lookout for that.
All right. Percentage of carries that came on first down?
No. Way off.
I hope it's yards per carry.
I hope so. Yeah, that'd be nice.
No. It's
oh man.
All I will say is it's something that he's been doing for the past few years.
Touchdowns.
That he's been standing out in.
Yeah. Probably touchdowns. That man scores a lot of touchdowns. Yeah. He
Maybe.
does. Yeah. All right, folks. I'm Kevin Knight on Twitter @Falcoholic Kevin. The player profile series is continuing. We are into the depth guys now. Deion Buchanan was today. Yesterday, I believe, was who was it? Jalen Hawkins. We're gonna have some more depth linebackers over the next few days, and then we're gonna get to some depth defensive linemen after that. And then it'll be undrafted free agents. So it should be interesting, and we're gonna have that content coming to you. And hopefully we'll have lots of training camp content and that sort of stuff to show you as well. So until next time, guys, it'll be 2 weeks, and we'll be back to recap the rest of training camp. And then the season will be just a week away at that point. So pretty exciting. I know Keenan's excited. I'm with you. It just needs to get here as soon as possible. So until next time, guys, for myself, for Evan, for Eric, and for Keenan, thank you guys for tuning in. We will see you next time. Have a great night, folks.